locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you to build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs and rebelpreneurs are choosing online education to build the business they need so they can live the life that they want. Entrepreneurs who host events or want to sell workshops or courses, you have to understand the value proposition that the market wants is transformation. It's all about creating those results. Clients and prospects want to be or do something different, better, smarter, or faster. So the question is, how can you craft those experiences that result in transformation with a handful of insights about how brains actually learn? Today's expert is going to help us with that. I'm here today with Tracy King. She is the CEO and Chief Learning Strategist of Inspired Ed. Tracy leverages her more than 20 years in the adult learning industry consulting with organizations on education strategy and learning design. Tracy is the author of Competitive Advantage, and she advises associations on how to grow a reliably profitable and sustainable continuing education programs that transform learners. So Tracy, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thanks so much, Ralph. It's so amazing to be with you today.
It's really a pleasure to have you as well, because it seems like everywhere we look online, somebody is launching a course. Somebody is trying to get people into a webinar. Somebody is trying to enroll us in their training. And so there's a lot of noise in the space. I wonder if you can help us to demystify this whole idea, this whole concept of online education. First, tell us a little bit about what got you interested in this and what is your background?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. So, long time ago, when I first graduated from college, got my first corporate job, I noticed there was some trouble in the workflow in our team. And I went to our vice president. I told her about the issue that I noticed, and that with some training, we would be able to, ease that workflow. We would be able to, respond quicker with better results, and we'd be able to achieve our objectives a lot better. And she said, "Thank you for that, Tracy King. Would you please design that training?"
So now you own it, right?
Excuse me? Who, me? I'm new here. And so I did. I dug into it. I created a full-day workshop on business writing and specifically addressed our workflows, and everyone left ready to take action. And of course, immediately afterward, our outcomes significantly improved. And I was just bit by the bug that learning can be transformational, and it can result in the things that matter to us. And so I decided to go back to graduate school. I then transitioned into academia. I taught communication studies for about 8 years. And even though I took one pedagogy course during graduate school, when I got to my classroom, all, eager and bright-eyed with my transparencies and textbook and syllabus, I could see right in front of me, right before my eyes, when my methods were succeeding and when they were epically failing. And so again, it just brought up the fact that I can be an enthusiastic subject expert. I can just bring all of the charm and all of the expertise into the room. But if I don't know how brains learn, how am I going to expect to engage these students and to care about what we're learning and to actually take action on it? And so I became a student of the learning sciences, and my classroom turned into my laboratory, those poor students. But I learned a lot through our experience together of what really does work to trigger learners to engage with content and to take action upon it, which is what's required for transformation.
That's really exciting.
After some experience, after experience in that type of learning, then I transitioned into adult learning, into workforce development, into continuing education, working primarily with associations, but any organizations that sell learning content, education to professionals who want to advance in their position or their industry.
Excellent. Excellent. So you were really experienced in this. And I love how you started out in communication and that's the same as me. And then it evolved into this idea that we can transform people and really create powerful results by helping them, by first helping them to learn. But to do that, we have to understand how brains learn. Now, you said something very interesting off air. There's no such thing as learning styles. I would love to get your insights on that.
Yeah, that is correct. There is no empirical evidence that learning styles exist or that employing learning styles in creating programs actually results in anything. So what the science does say is that we're all visually biased. Visuals are really important to learning and helping us process information. That using visuals and auditory channels together in particular ways is really useful for learning particular types of content. And that what is effective is when we employ a learning cycle, which is really attaching how we deliver content to how brains absorb, reflect upon, and act upon content instead of just turning on the fire hose of information, which is super typical. And in a lot of those programs that are, just the noise that we're seeing in our feeds, a lot of them are those fire hoses. And what really differentiates a great program with great results is employing that learning brain cycle into the planning and design of the program.
And I really resonate with that. And actually, I'm guilty of doing these day-long events. And I feel like, well, I have to give people their money's worth. And they've gone to all this time and trouble to get here at great expense. I need to tell them everything that I know about whatever it is we're talking about. And so by the end of the day, 9 hours later, they're exhausted. I can't do anything for 4 days after that because I'm so wiped out. And so you're saying the fire hose approach is not the most conducive, to say the least, to learning. Give us an example of a learning cycle that would be an alternative to the fire hose method.
Yeah, for sure. So the learning brain, anytime we're going to learn something new, we want to absorb some new piece of information, or we want to do or be something different or better, it first starts with attention. Whatever it is has to grab our attention, which means it has to be something that is perceived as valuable to us, because there are a ton of things in our environment that are competing for our attention, and we have limited capacity to focus. And so something that's going to engage a learner first has to be meaningful in a couple of different ways. Well, if your life is in danger, you're going to attend. But if it connects to something that we know, if we know it's going to be useful, if it connects to our goals, if there's a relevance to it, then our attention's going to be piqued. We're going to lean forward and go, okay, so tell me more, right? So that's the first part, is just gaining the learner's attention. And then second, pretty quickly, a brain will analyze whether this content kind of bolts on to what we know already, what we know and how to do things. If you think about everything you know as a skyscraper in your city of knowledge, and you've got 3 levels on knitting, and you've got 20 levels on radio broadcasting, and you got 12 levels on car repair, whatever the things are. When we're learning something new, we have to, scaffold that new level. We have to frame it out. We've got to sheetrock and tape and paint, and then we can start talking about all the cool furniture and fixtures. And so when we're analyzing, the brain is saying, where does this fit onto this knowledge skyscraper that I already have? Is it way below? Is this a level 2 and I'm a level 12, or is it way above what I'm ready to add to my knowledge structure? Both of those situations is going to be a tune-out for the brain. The information will be discarded. And so connecting right where that learner is super important. So that means we kind of have to know who's in the room, right? And once that brain says, yeah, I'm interested, yeah, this connects to what I want to learn and where I want to grow, then we're ready and ripe to take in that new content and that new information. And that's often where speakers and presenters will stop. They just start to deliver information, their awesome knowledge, their enthusiasm. But in order to continue learning, we have to do two more things. The second is we have to reflect. We have to be able to begin to think about how we can use this content and start taking steps toward using the content. So that might mean that there's some quizzes, or there's some case scenarios, or there's a conversation, or there's, an opportunity for us to start planning how we could try and apply some things. Because apply is the next phase in actually learning something. And in fact, the learning sciences say that if we don't actually apply content, we don't learn it.
So it's use it or
somewhere.
It's use it or lose it, and that's the case. Building muscles or building knowledge and brain power.
Exactly. So we have to get to that apply step, and so that reflection piece and the application piece often doesn't happen in the fire hose programs because we're stuck in that knowledge dissemination part. But we have to actively engage learners in starting to personalize the content for themselves and starting to try ideas in a variety of ways that we can do while we're together, but also offering them tools to continue their learning when we're apart.
You have just laid out a very, very powerful strategy for helping people to learn by cooperating with how our brains naturally learn. A few things you said really jumped out at me. First, the idea of value. I think we have to understand that value can go up and down depending on the circumstances that people find themselves in. So part of your criteria for what makes something valuable, it's useful, it's in alignment with my goals, it is relevant to me and to where I am right now. But bear in mind, where people are changes. So I'm saying this to encourage our listeners who are struggling to create that value. Your value is something that's determined by the audience and by individuals in the audience, and it depends on where they are. A plumber to me right now is not very valuable. Why? Because I don't have a problem with my plumbing.
Yes,
but
exactly. Learning solves problems.
Exactly. So what you have to do is not assume that everybody in the audience needs a plumber, but what you want to do is speak to the ones who have a stopped up, overflowing septic tank or a sink that is leaking or whatever the problem is. But your value as a problem solver is relative to the size and the intensity of that problem. And if the listener isn't experiencing a problem, then what you have to say right now in the moment doesn't get their attention because it's not perceived as very valuable. But things can change, and that's why we have to continue to put our message out there, because at some point, if we are dialed into the needs and the problems and concerns of our audience, at some point, all of a sudden your value is really going to go up as soon as they encounter a problem that you can solve. And that's why I like to structure everything around problems and results, because that is the heart of transformation. Exactly what you're talking about with learning transformation.
Absolutely. We have to start with the results, not with topics, not with one-size-all presentations, because the learners who are going to follow you, buy your education programs, and everything else you create are the ones who know you can solve their problems. And another crutch that I see in the adult learning space is what I call snuggie learning. It's like snuggie size, the one-size-all-fits blanket. No one wants a learning snuggie. They want, a tailored outfit. Because that's what the market is asking for. It's not asking for information. Information is ubiquitous. We have the Google and the Amazon. They're seeking results. They're seeking transformation. And we can deliver that with learning because we follow that learning brain process. That's the natural result.
I really love that. The other thing that struck me as I'm listening to you share what you were passionate about is most of the marketers today that are pushing their courses and their trainings, they are marketers. They're not educators, and they're really good at creating presentations. But it's kind of like what you're talking about, this kind of a one size fits all, here's what I do type thing that really is not meeting the needs of people the way it could, not creating the transformation or the longevity that you need, the ongoing learning, the ongoing application to make it practical and to put it into practice long enough to be able to get the results that people want. And that's why so many people, they'll buy a course or buy a book and it sits on the shelf, or they never engage with that course beyond the first lesson or so. Therefore, they don't get the transformation that they were after. And so what you're saying is that part of that has to do with the failure on the part of the marketer or the business person, whoever that subject matter expert is. It's their failure to package it and to present in a way that people can actually learn from, because that's how they're wired to learn.
Yeah, ultimately, yes. It's information in education formats, and that's just not competitive in this market because there's so much of it. And this is I wrote my book, Competitive Advantage, because this is an issue I see in the continuing education space with associations as well. So if you think about how adults learn, we have an academic background, and there are varying levels of, that you can achieve through academics and the continuing education programs through institutions. Then there's like internal corporate training. So you work for an employer and they assign you courses and all of that jazz to make sure that you're performing according to the business goals of the organization. And then the other corner of the triangle is continuing education. And a big player in that space are professional associations. They offer conferences and webinars and workshops and courses, but it's also coaches and authors and consultants and any organization that's selling learning to professionals. If they want to be competitive, what really drives their competitive advantage is learning design and is offering transformation and results through the learning products that they're offering. That's what's going to set them apart. That's what people are going to rave about, and that's what's going to help them develop a successful and sustainable business around learning programs.
I love that. Is online learning, in particular, I mean, you're working in a space where it is not strictly online. It's offline. It's in a corporate environment. It's in a live seminar or live training environment. And then there's the online space, which is another learning opportunity. Do you, as an entrepreneur, do you see online learning becoming more and more popular? Do you see it plateauing? Or what are your thoughts 5-10 years down the road? Where will we be in terms of online learning?
Great question. So the organizations that I consult with are all organizations that either offer for free or sell learning programs, and some of them are in-person seminars, but a lot of it is online learning. And I specialize in online learning design because it is the future. But we also have to think about how we can pair on-demand online learning with those synchronous touch points. So as entrepreneurs are developing courses that are going to result in transformation, some of that can happen in that on-demand, self-paced, self-serve type of course. But the ones that I see that are most successful have like coaching conversations as a touch point over a duration of time with, that asynchronous, that on-demand content. And so what I see as the future is the partnership of live and on-demand learning, but a lot of it's going to be digital. Now, there's nothing that really replaces the awesomeness of networking in person with other professionals in your industry. Just the conversations that we have with colleagues and other professionals really do help us to learn and grow and find our leading edge. But when we're busy entrepreneurs and we need to do the next thing, we can't wait for the next event or seminar. We need to learn it right now. So on-demand learning is incredibly important, and they're just recently, the last couple of months, some new studies came out, industry trend watchers, and they're expecting that by 2025, e-learning is going to be a $325 billion industry in the U.S., which is tripling what they expected it to be by 2020.
Wow.
And we're already seeing that return. So it's huge. And because of all of the noise that you can already hear, the rumble of that $325 billion worth of e-learning in the space, there's going to be a lot of noise. But if you want to really have a competitive edge in that space, you got to deliver the results. And learning design really helps us do that.
Wow. That is an incredible number. $325 billion in online education. That's just incredible. Now, does that include formal education, like distance learning departments of colleges and universities, or is it all of the above?
So I would have to dig super deep, but into the data. But typically, what it includes is continuing education. So formal degree programs that have online components not included in the study. But if you have graduated and you're in the workforce and you're buying online learning, whether that's from an academic institution or an organization, that's what they're counting.
Wow.
So you could buy, a continuing education program from the University of Minnesota, right? Or it could be from Vernon Burchard or from me. It could be from a professional association, right? It could be from you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm very interested in this because I'm looking to scale my influence and my impact, and I can't do that working one-on-one. So I'm putting the finishing touches on my effort, throwing in my hat into the online learning ring, and it's really fascinating to have the opportunity that we have to be able to reach people we would never be able to reach before and to really make an impact around the world. It's just really incredible. And speaking of buying a course from you, share with us, Tracy, anything that you're working on right now that's got you really excited that our listeners might want to find out more about.
Oh, outstanding. Yes. So I just came out with a new book, Competitive Advantage, Create Continuing Education that is profitable, sustainable, and impactful. And that's available right now. And spinning off of that really pithy take on how to really set yourself apart in this industry, I started to develop some courses. And at this point, talking ground floor level, most of them are free resources. One of them is about designing learning. It's about learning design essentials, and that one's available now. And another one that we're working on is going to be about in-person presentations, whether that is via webinar technology, virtual learning, or in the same room with, on conferences and sessions and workshops that entrepreneurs are hosting in order to present with purpose and with power. And so that's coming soon in the next month, but a lot of fun, awesome resources in order to begin thinking about not only how we can design experiences, but what the options are for developing different types of learning. I have some demos on that site as well that demonstrate some of the different ways that we create e-learning for our clients.
Very exciting. And that is something that I think anyone who is looking to scale their business, create learning opportunities, whether that's going to be your main business or just a part of your business, especially for coaches that want to have greater impact but don't want to work 80 hours a week. E-learning is a very, very hot opportunity, and it can be profitable, but as Tracy is reminding us, it has to be transformational in order for it to be profitable. People are not going to pay you for information. They can get information for free. What they're looking for is results. And so this has really been fabulous to discuss this with you. Tracy, how can our listeners reach out to you and learn more?
You can visit the site with these free digital learning resources at tracy-king.com, or you can visit my website, which is inspired-ed.com, inspireded.com.
Wonderful. Well, this has really been a learning experience in and of itself, just to explore this with you, Tracy. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you think we should have as a takeaway that kind of sums up everything that we've discussed?
The heart of this is we're enthusiastic experts around our content, right? But we really want to make a difference. And there is, the mystery solved. There's an actual process for how this can be accomplished. It's a science and an art, and there's a framework that running our presentations through and our design can help us accomplish those goals, not tossing spaghetti against the wall or crossing our fingers and hoping we make a difference. We can actually apply these science-based principles to ensure that what we're offering is going to change lives. It's going to transform how people think, how they're able to work, how they can be and do more effectively, better. Wherever they're headed, you're on that journey together. It's just so important to realize that there's science behind this, and we can do this together. It's pretty amazing.
Excellent words of wisdom from Tracy King. She is the CEO and Chief Learning Strategist of Inspired Ed. Tracy leverages more than 20 years in the adult learning industry, consulting with organizations on education strategy and learning design. She is the author of Competitive Advantage, and she advises associations on how to grow a reliably, profitable, and sustainable continuing education program that transforms learners. To find out more, visit tracy-king.com or inspired-ed.com. We'll have that link on the Rebelpreneur website. Tracy, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. It's been a sincere pleasure.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.